Tensors are the primary data structures used by neural networks, and they are rather fascinating as well. Machine learning and, by extension, deep learning is an interdisciplinary field. It's interesting to note how many different people from many different fields came to same concepts. Now I want to stop there. This is perhaps another example as to the moment one starts reaching the upper layers or outer corners, edges of their respective fields, the more they begin to see similarities and branches of extensions and roots that show similar descriptions, but are relevant to other fields, and then also relevant to the field that we are in. I think that's interesting. And I think that's what's actually taking place with me now, is that I'm reaching at least a higher level understanding of a certain particular area. Most notably is my sensory abilities, so my ability to understand the outside world. And I'm trying to communicate that via the language that I've learned through various fields. Some areas I have better language in. For instance, in the realm of human performance and evaluation, rehabilitation wise, I have a pretty decent understanding of what takes place, just because of the many practices or reps, not necessarily because of my potential, my ability to memorize, or my intellect or intelligence or anything of that nature, simply because I have been exposed to one particular type of environmental stimuli for a long period of time, that I can start understanding and making predictive notions about future types or occurrences, just based off of like how they're correlated to the data that I see in the early on phases. So I just can see the extensions. It's not necessarily that I'm making like any sort of real predictions, is that I can see how the roots are outstretched towards the distance in efforts to support the tree. And this vision, this ability to see the extension, sometimes seems as if it is prediction, but it's just seeing from a distant outpost, and then having to make the steps and take the steps to get to what was able to be seen from a distance above or a distance afar, and making it reality. That distance, that steps towards that actual event or phenomenon or whatever it is, or predictive notion, is time. And sometimes we see that as like future, or we seeing into the future. No, I'm just seeing the roots, and I'm seeing a pattern, and I'm seeing a multiple variable extension route that almost seems like this neural network deal. Tensors are the primary data structures used by neural networks, and they are rather fascinating as well. Machine learning, and by extension, deep learning, is an interdisciplinary field. That interdisciplinary field for me just means that they're building bridges. So this is an interesting thing. Building a bridge should be a primary component in today's world. Learning how to build a bridge. Now, through my understanding, what that means is throwing rope or throwing a ball across a distance with a rope attached. Right? That's one way. Building a large elevated structure and then elevating it, probably with rope, and then letting it fall across so that it lands on the opposite location. That's building a bridge. Or maybe perhaps even just pushing a log across. That's building a bridge, okay? You see the area across. There's this vast expanse that, a number of people wouldn't be able to necessarily cross, but you build a bridge and they are now able to cross and have another understanding of this phenomenon that they are now crossing. Now, this tensor deal says it's a mathematical generalization of more specific concepts, vectors, and matrices. In neural networks, transformation, input, output, etc. are performed via tensors. To build a good enough concept, let's start with a matrix of some simple concepts from computer science and mathematics. Number, scalar, array, vector, 2D array, matrix. The same can also be represented via following matrices: number, array, 2D array, scalar, vector, and matrix. And the difference here is if we're not able to see the actual medium here on medium.com, it just has a vertical arrangement of these words and then a two-columned horizontal view of these words. This pseudo-mathematical notation gives us a nice one-to-one relationship between concepts of number, array, and 2D array, from computer science to the concepts of scalar, vector, and matrix in mathematics. Now, what examples did I just give right now? It's like throwing rope, right? And or positioning a long object and then having it fall across. Now, like, some of you may think, like, what relevance does that example have to what this man is trying to describe in terms of number, scalar, array, vector, 2D array, and matrix? Okay, now imagine that these words are just the knots along a rope. Number, scalar, array, vector, 2D array, matrix. Meaning, like, first you start understanding numbers when you're a kid. Then they start introducing, like, scales. Like, oh, this is big. This is a big number. This is a small number. All right. This is how we measure things. This is weight. Then they start giving you array or spectrums, right? Then they start giving you vectors, which is like, hey, man, you're going to go that way for this amount. Then they give you a 2D array. Now they're giving you insights to you're going to go this direction for this amount, and then you're going to go this direction, which is not the same direction, but in a different dimension for this amount. And then finally, they give you a matrix, right? Now, once you understand all those concepts, now this is the big part right here. You went from number, scalar, array, vector, 2D array through time of your understanding. That understanding is in of itself rope. That's the rope. Your understanding of those concepts. You entangled. You first built a foundation by understanding numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or 3.14159265358 There's not one way of viewing a string of numbers. There's multiple ways. Now, this is the crux of a former argument that I'm making, that we should start understanding more about how we can utilize pi as a foundation for science, making it sort of a standard of the way that we view the world. Okay, now there's scalar, the amount of something, array, vector, 2D array, all these, once you start finding the relationship between them, it in figurative, or I would say, as if you were looking at it from a metaphor, you could say like, oh, my understanding, I went from that concept to that concept. I built fabric and fibers to understand this. These fibers and concepts are like kind of like neurons growing. They're like roots and trees. Oh my God, I formed this new understanding, and now I have this new understanding, and now I have this new understanding, and I built it in this way, which is a little bit more vertical. Or you could build it this way, which is a little bit more horizontal, but nonetheless, you still made this rope. And now, here's the part that I think is starting to fascinate me a little bit more, and I'm still trying to see where it relates to tensors, is now you have the opportunity to be able to bridge. You have rope, right? And you have maybe this ability to direct your rope. You got this way to build now. This pseudo-mathematical notation gives us a nice one-to-one relationship between concepts of number array and 2D array from computer science to the concepts of scalar, vector, and matrix in mathematics. Ooh, the index notation. Index. Now that is interesting. Okay. Upon closer inspection of the above examples, it's apparent that to access any element in each representation, we need the same number of indices in the related concepts of computer science and mathematics. Indexes, wow. They're the people at the port. Index is really where it takes place, huh? That's the connection point. I need you to tell me what this means in my language. All right, now we're going to categorize that. For every one of these, this is what that equals. Index. Huh.